Hello everyone. This is part 4 of the presentation on P2P network. So we already seen what is a P2P network and what are all the architecture, underlying architecture like the centralized directory server architecture, query flooding and the exploiting heterogeneity. So three ways by which the resources are located in a typical P2P network. That is what we discussed. And now we are going to see the case study. So this is particularly mentioned in your syllabus, that is Gnutella and BitTorrent. So we will start our discussion with the Gnutella, and we already know it is an early peer-to-peer network that do not depend on a centralized registry of objects. That means here it is following that query flooding concept we discussed, not the first one. Like here there is no concept of a centralized registry or a directory which is providing special server which is providing the directory service. Instead, Gnutella participants arrange themselves into an overlay network, that typical structure, virtual overlay over the typical physical topology. It was the first fully decentralized P2P system. Here there is it's no concept of a super node or special centralized node, nothing. It is a purely decentralized system. There is no centralized coordination, there is no special designation to any node. Everybody is treated equally. In a overlay network, peers are coming and they are making the providing the service as well as using the service. It was like a collection of nodes in an unsupervised network. There is no supervision, there is no centralized coordination, with each node joining and leaving the network at any time. And that high rate of joining and leaving is called a churn. So here you can expect a very high rate of churn. So in Gnutella, the peers are referred to as servants. It's a terminology which is a combination of the word server and client. Together they are using the term. And these nodes form the vertices of the underlying graph structure. If you are seeing that overlay as a graph, the vertices are nothing but the servants, which is our peers. Okay. Each node that runs the Gnutella software, that is which implement the Gnutella protocol, knows about some set of other machines that also run the Gnutella software. So if a node is knowing another one, means it's a neighbor of it. Okay, and that doesn't mean that everybody is knowing about everyone else. Each node is knowing information about some set. Just focus on the term some set of other machines that is also running the same protocol. Now the relationship, that means a node A is knowing another node B. A and B know each other, corresponds to the edge of the underlying graph, forming the overlay structure. How we are accessing object in a typical Gnutella network? So whenever the user on a given node wants to find an object, the Gnutella sends a special query message for the object, say by specifying the file's name to its neighbors in the graph. So which resource it want? If it is a file, by mentioning the name of the file, it is treating everything as file. It's a particular file sharing P2P network. So by specifying the name of the file, a special query message will be sent to all the neighbors. That means it's actually flooded. Okay, it's given to all the neighbors in the graph. If one of the neighbor has the object which is requested by the other one, it responds to the node that send it the query with a query response message, specifying where the object can be downloaded, example the IP address and the TCP port number. So together you can access that particular process which is providing that service or the resource. From that, this particular peer can download the file. And that node can subsequently use the get and put message, HTTP get and put message. The file access get and put message. There's special messages in. So there is a query message, there is a query response message for replying to that query, and get and put messages for accessing the object. Get for getting and put, you may be updating into that other peer also. If the node cannot resolve the query, that means if that neighbor node is not able to resolve the query, means it is not having the resource, it forwards a query message further to each of its neighbor. except that the one that sent the query, because the one who is sending the query is also his neighbor. He is not going forwarding it further in the backward direction, because already he is getting that query from him only. So except to that particular one who is sending that query, it will forward to all other neighbors, and the process repeats. That means it will be moving to its neighbor, and if that neighbor is getting a query hit, it will reply back, otherwise it will forward further, and it will repeat until that particular object is find, or it may result into a failure also. In other words, the Nutella floods the overlay to locate the desired object. So this process is called flooding. We are sending to neighbors and they are sending to its neighbors, like that. So that flooding you can see here. And Nutella sets a time to leave field on each query, so this flood does not continue indefinitely. So if it keep on doing this flooding, that is not going to end up in worst case if the resource is not there. So that should not happen, or some kind of looping should not happen. To make it clear, to make it happen, it is you making use of the TTL, time to leave field, and you know how this TTL is working. With every whenever it is the query is getting forwarded, TTL value will be decremented when it is 0, and that will be discarded. If, till that there is no query, then you will not get any reply. In addition to the TTL and query string, each query message contains something called a unique query identifier. So every query is identified by a unique query identifier, but it does not contain the identity of the original message source. That means the query is actually generated from a machine. He is in need of the resource, but the identity of the machine which is generating the query is not present at part of the query. Okay, that is something you have to note down. Whenever the query is getting forwarded from one machine to its neighbor, it's keep on forwarding. At some point, the resource will be available, and whenever that resource is available, that information has to be communicated back to the originator of the query, right? But whenever this query message is coming, that query message is containing the TTL field and the query string, that is the file ID which of the resource which is needed, and also there is a unique query identifier, but there is no information like the identity of the sender. Now how it is resolving that issue? That means whenever there is a query hit, how that hit message is correctly communicated back to the originator of the message. As you are thinking, it is like by following the reverse path. If that identity of the originator is also there, then it can send it directly, but instead it is resolving it in a different way. We will see that. So instead, each node contains a record of the query message it has seen recently, that is both the ID, query ID, and the neighbor that sent the query. So whenever a machine is getting a query from a neighbor, it will note down the query identifier as well as an identifier of the machine from which the query is recently communicated. A is sending a query message to B, and now say B is forwarding it to C. Now B will be containing information about A, that means from A, B is getting that query and the query ID. Similarly, C will be keeping the information, the query is coming from B and the query ID. So like that, everyone will note down the query ID and the machine from which the query is forwarded to it. And this history information that is maintained at each and every node in a typical Nutella network is used in the following ways. It is used. It uses this history in two ways. First, as you can guess, if it ever receives a query with a query ID that matches one it has seen recently, the node does not forward the query message, right? That means the same query you already seen. So whenever you are noting down, whenever you are seeing a query, you are just noting down the query ID. So again you are getting the same query, means the query ID will be same. So but that by that you can filter the duplicates. And why you have to forward the duplicates? Only the genuine, the first message you have to forward, and all the duplicates you can filter with the help of the query ID that is maintained in the history. And this serves to cut off the forwarding of the loops. More quickly than the TTL might have done. So you know, TTL field, it will keep on decreasing and it will take some time to resolve the loop. But this kind of backward communication I mean, a duplicate message, that is how we are getting the duplicate message by means of some kind of forwarding loops only, right? So that can be resolved quickly by this technique. No need to wait until TTL is getting 0. And second, when the node receives a query response from a downstream neighbor, it knows to forward the response to upstream neighbor that originally sent it the query message. So this is very important. This is how the information is correctly communicated back to the originator of the query. So just like which we already seen, following a reverse path. That means from a particular peer, I forwarded the query further to another one. Again, I am forwarding further. At some point, there is a hit. The response will be coming back, right? So whenever a query response message is coming from a downstream neighbor, so assume that the information is forwarded upstream, say, okay, from a node to downstream. Means from a node, I am forwarding it to another its neighbors, say in downstream, and from that it will be forwarded further. So from the downstream, that query response will be coming back. You can assume it like a tree, okay? From the root of the tree, the root of the tree is nothing but the one who is generating the query, and it will be forwarding that query to its neighbors. Let it be the next level, and they will be forwarding to their neighbors. So if you are looking like that, the response will be following the upstream path, like from the downstream the response will be coming, right? It knows to forward the response to upstream neighbor that originally sent the query message, because it is noting down the query ID and the upstream neighbor from which that query is generated, and that is noted down at each and every node. So whenever query response is coming, that information is going to help you to send the reply back. Now, hope it is clear. Now, when that reply is received at the next level, next top level, that is from the downstream, again it will be forwarded to the next top level. Like that, it will keep on forwarding to top level, and finally it will reach the root, and that is nothing but the originator of the message. So in this way, the response works its way back to the original node without any of the intermediate node knowing who wanted to locate this particular object in the first place. Now, no need to note down the originator information. We are not storing it anywhere, and the query message is not containing the originator information, and that is because if you are adding that also, every node is going to store it, and that will give some unwanted difficulties, and that we can avoid by this technique. Okay, this is a very simpler technique. And see that about how the query is forwarding and the response messages are coming back, even though without having that originator identity disclosed to any other node. So, and in a Nutella network, how the graph is evolved, that overlay structure is evolved. A node certainly has to know about at least one other node when it joins a Nutella overlay. So initially you assume that the network just started say with a single machine. So whenever a new node is coming, it is trying to join, at least it should know one machine, then only it can be part of it, right? So in that situation, the new node attached to the overlay by at least one link. That link is nothing but that A and B are knowing each other. That relationship is what we call as the link virtually. After that, a given node learns about other nodes as a query response message. As a result of query response message, both the object it requested and for response that just happened to pass through. That we already seen that query message as well as a query response message. Both are passing through all the nodes, right? So the node will be getting information from some other node, and that may be forwarded from some other node. So like that, every node can keep updating information about other neighbors. So whenever it is getting a query message from some other machine, it could be a neighbor of it, and now that is up to the node whether to make it a neighbor, valid neighbor or not. If it is ready to make it as a neighbor, then whenever he is in need of some resource, he can depend that neighbor. Okay, so like that. So a node is free to decide which of the nodes it discovers in this way that it wants to keep as a neighbor. So whenever this query as well as query message response messages are passing through a machine, by it will be keeping the query ID and the identity of the one who is sending the query into its history, and with this information it is getting information about all nodes which are connected to it. But it is up to the node, it is free for the every node is free to decide whether to make a particular nearby node as a neighbor or not. So the Nutella protocol provides so that about neighbor creation and how the edges are forming in an overlay network. Now it is making use of something called a ping and pong message, by which a node probes whether or not a given neighbor still exists and that neighbor's response respectively. So just to check the connectivity, as usual, ping message is used for checking the network connectivity with some other machine. The same ping message can be used here also for checking whether a neighboring peer is alive or not. And also as a reply to the ping message, there is something called a pong message sent by the peer if it is alive or if it is active. And some of the problems with this Nutella network we already seen. So distributed network using this flooding. So all the problems of flooding is applicable here also. So the search time was exponential to the number of users. That in worst case, the search will keep on like exponential. A node to all its neighbor, say you can assume a particular node is having 3 neighbor. I am taking an example. On the average, say 3, 3, 3, 3. After n level, there will be the information is getting flooded, say some 3 power n nodes. Okay, so the exponential way the data is getting processed, means query message is forwarded, and accordingly the search time is also exponential. The slow nodes choke the network. That is also a problem. So the query may be stuck at that slow node and such further issues. Then the network was unstable and search result would be dropped as nodes were free to join and label. And here there is no means stability, like per set of nodes are stable all the time. Nothing like that. Any node can dynamically join and leave the network, and accordingly due to that instability, whenever you are searching a result, it may be there in a node, but for the time being it left the network. Such situations can arise. So at that point the particular query come to that node will be dropped because that machine is not active now. The general notion of complete decentralization was not found to be desirable, as file sharing took exponential and was often not complete. So that is what we see. Due to that exponential searching time, and in worst case it may not reach the destination also, due to such those issues. So here what we see is a purely decentralized P2P network. So in general, what about the adoption of such a network when you are designing a new P2P? It's not so desirable because of this search time and other issues. Now how we can improve the architecture, that is what is followed in Nutella. It should be clear that Nutella as described here is not a particularly clever protocol, because it's simply following that flooding, and subsequent systems have tried to improve upon it. There are many P2P networks. So if you are looking at other P2P network, you can see very subsequent improvements over them, over the service that is provided by Nutella. One dimension along which improvements are possible is in how queries are propagated from one node. So instead of that pure flooding, you should come up with a more clever technique. Like the flooding has a nice property that it is guaranteed to find the desired object in the fewest possible hop, that as it is going in all direction. If the object is available at some point, it will be that query will be reaching that node with the fewest number of hop, but it does not scale well. That is a problem. So when the number of nodes and resources are getting increased, searching time is getting exponential. So that is a problem. It is not a scalable architecture. So it is possible to forward queries randomly, that is on improvement. Instead of flooding to everyone, just select a node randomly, select a neighbor randomly and send to him. But when you are selecting randomly with some random probability, you will be getting hit, and with some other probability you may not get it also. Such a problem is there. Or according to the probability of success based on the past result. So whenever I am getting a query from a node, uh, just look at the my history. Similar queries I may got in my last communication also, and that time through which neighbor the particular query when I forwarded I got a hit, follow that path. So based on the past history, based on the probability of success, based on the past result also you can forward the query. And the second dimension is to proactively replicate the objects. Since more copies of a given object there are, the easier it should be to find a copy. So replication, simply try to keep maximum number of copies, so that even though you are doing that flooding, you will get the chances of getting a hit will increase, but it will consume space and other problems are there. Alternatively, with completely different ways, one should develop a completely different strategy, and there is no decentralization. So it's a typical unstructured network, right? So on entirely different alternative approaches, you can think of a structured P2P network, and Nutella is not following it, but just to get a flavor of it, in the next part I will explain how a typical structured P2P network is working. Okay, with this I am concluding this part. Thank you.